I'm sure many of you already know this by now, but for those of you who don't, I am an avid fan of dinosaurs, along with other prehistoric and extant wildlife, of course. I honestly can't think back to a time in my life where I wasn't fascinated by these incredible creatures. Whether it be through books, shows, movies, or whatever, dinosaurs have remained a crucial cornerstone of my passions, but never has my interest in them grown as much as it has lately. And the main reason for that is a particular little channel known as Red Raptor Writes. Red Raptor Writes, or previously known as Tim Rex, is a YouTuber known for making content based around movies, video games, and various paleontological subjects. Now, this guy is actually someone I've known for quite a while now, but it wasn't until summer of last year that I fell in love with his work, and I've wanted to cover him ever since. So, without further ado, as the man himself would say,
let's dig this up.
we'll start with the movie analyses because I don't have as much to say here. Red Raptor has done plenty of discussions on various films over the years, from The Lost World Jurassic Park to Spider-Man, Sky High to Monsters University, and with each one, he's opened my eyes to many new ideas and new angles of interpreting a piece of media, and I applaud any YouTuber that manages to do that. Of course, he's no stranger to controversial opinions, and I don't always agree with every point made, but it's always nice to hear different perspectives on something that I've never even considered before. I'll admit there are times where he can be a bit harsh or go too far maybe.
Pixar hasn't released anything legitimately good in over a decade.
Whoa, hold your Parasaurolophuses there, dude. But trust me, it's nothing worth pulling out your pitchforks and knives over. Though, as much as I love the movie discussions, they're not exactly what keeps me coming back to this channel for. Oh no. What accomplishes that are his two major paleo-themed series. The first of which are his reviews of dinosaur documentaries, where he judges them based on accuracy, first sharing what is correct about them, then pointing out what outdated details no longer hold up, what details the creators got wrong even for the time, and then ranking them accordingly. He searches for things like out-of-time or out-of-place creatures, pronated wrists, shrink wrapping, inaccurate depictions, interesting behaviors, and so on, going in chronological order from oldest to newest, looking through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in the process, I've become way more familiar with so many different programs, some of which I already knew about, others I had never heard of before. A ton of work gets put into these, and boy does it show. These are truly what got me invested into the channel, and it's a shame there's only so many dino docs to go around because I can't get enough of them. There's also the second, newer series, Paleo Myths, where in each episode, he takes a common idea in the paleo community, and by using complex reasoning and up-to-date evidence, tests to see whether it holds up to our current understanding or needs to be dismissed, separating the fact from fiction. Of course, it's never to stretch the facts or claim that his opinion is the right one, but rather to show what the actual science says. These are really dang interesting, and I am stoked to see more episodes in the future. Now, from these two series alone, I've learned so much about classifications, environments, time periods, the difference between convergent and divergent evolution, distinctive traits in species, and much more. The classification changes about Syntarsis, the long history of Dinochirus remains, the Asian American interchange, all were taught to me by him. He's also caught me up on so many of the more recent studies, like the controversial 3 Tyrannosaurus species. Here's a mind-blower I discovered thanks to him. There are still more dinosaurs alive today than there are mammals. Not only that, but random terms I've heard of before are now imprinted into my memory because of him. Like I said, he's not afraid to come out with the actual truth, or at least what's believed to be the truth, regardless of whether or not his audience wants to accept it, going above and beyond to be accurate. Research is this man's middle name, I tell ya. He doesn't just come up with stuff to make his topic seem cooler, unlike certain documentaries. There are a few mistakes and oversights made here and there, and some details have to be left out for the sake of time, but even he himself addresses this.
And I'm especially thankful for those who leave comments that provide viewers with extra information. I don't get to cover everything in these reviews, and sometimes I miss some things, so I appreciate those who add to the discourse.
Plus, he doesn't go around acting all high and mighty, pretending to know everything about everything.
No, I'm not giving the scientific name to sound like some uptight know-it-all. I don't know it all, I just try my best to research before each video.
He shows a deep level of respect, not only towards the prehistoric creatures we've been inspired by.
Dang, Edmontosaurus is such an interesting creature that deserves more recognition than just being T-Rex prey.
But also towards the hardworking diggers and experts who bring them to life.
All the information we have today can sometimes be taken for granted. Every paper I reference required months and maybe years of painstaking physical labor. And let's not forget the scientists who examine and re-examine these fossils to death. Paleontology is hard work, and for that, I'm thankful.
I personally would love to have him as a paleontology teacher or something. Speaking of which, he reminds me a great deal of my high school language arts teacher, who had a way of going for the throat and sense of sarcasm similar to him. Not to mention they're both pretty big Jaws fans. There is, of course, other stuff Tim makes that is worth bringing up, such as his playthroughs and various joke videos that often bring me a smile. Which reminds me, I surprisingly somehow haven't mentioned yet his style of humor.
These guys actually had large, bumpy scales with big projections that can only be described as tough nipples, my nickname in high school. The creators do infer that, like other boids, Titanoboa gave birth to live young, but didn't stick around after that, just like baby me being left at a gas station. This brings me back to the example of the blight on humanity known as Neapolitan ice cream. When you try to please everyone by loading different flavors into the same carton, everyone's left with a confusing mess. So please, just buy vanilla. That weird stick up the cloaca walk doesn't help their cause either. These guys seem in desperate need of some prune juice. If this were some other dino doc, we would get winter is coming. Patch must satisfy his endless bloodlust. There's only one thing he can do. Kill. Think of them more as an uncle group. The grandparents are ancestral to both you and your uncle, but your uncle is not your ancestor unless you live in Alabama.
As you can tell from those clips, he's quite the funny boy. There are also his little meme segments that pop up from time to time.
And for the ladies, Harry.
No pain, no gain. That's the secret of my universe.
Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat, you name it!
These add so much personality and comic relief to what are already very fun videos, providing moments of levity amongst the barrage of education. Yet, despite his sometimes silly or ranty nature, Red Raptor manages to remain forward-thinking, well-rounded, and fair.
Here's the thing. Dinosaurs and paleontology in general, they're interesting enough. You don't need to humanize them, make them fit into these very personal narratives. As long as you're educating audiences and showing them live their lives, that's enough. That's enough to get me engaged all the way.
He's sensible, honest, and most of all, passionate. And anyone who is passionate about what they do has my respect. That is, unless your passion is child murder, but I digress. Heck, listening to him do something as simple as sharing his thoughts with his sister Beth is wholesome enough.
I liked the beginning of this episode with like the squad pulling up, and it made me think of like Monsters Inc. when they're like walking onto the scare floor.
Honestly, I do see that vibe too.
Right.
They're so awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
He offers his critiques without going too far to the point where it becomes destructive. and instead can offer ways to improve something.
I would love for more people to take interest in dinosaurs and learn more about them, but lying to general audiences isn't the way.
He doesn't let personal grievances, vendettas, or biases get in the way of his arguments. He sticks to the unaltered facts as much as possible, which is a very wise decision.
If scientifically significant specimens are locked away from prying eyes, then we can't use them. The wonderful thing about science is that it's repeatable. One person's discoveries can be revisited, looked over, and reevaluated. This occurs in paleontology all the time. Just look at Spinosaurus.
But obviously, he ain't above a good roast.
As I've said before, it's admirable when someone is willing to go against the grain, but Horner is a contrarian who doesn't make claims based on where the evidence takes him. He says things for attention. I would compare him to a teenage girl, but then he might marry himself.
His voice is also pleasant to listen to, far better than my own. His editing style is simple yet effective. Nothing gets rushed through or constantly repeated, which is a common problem seen in too many channels that don't bother using a script. I should know. I don't even mind the usual lack of any background music. One minor complaint I do have, however, are these rare moments in his videos where he may very briefly throw in his political opinions. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's jarring.
This is a weird one because even the paleontological consultant was like, yeah, 25 is pushing it. But Bill Oddie thought that liberal estimate sounded so cool he had to go with it. He sides with the Green Party, so it makes sense.
Yeah, still not as bad as Animat at least. I think it goes without saying, but people aren't here to listen to that kind of stuff, other than maybe my father, I guess. They come to be entertained and expand their knowledge of paleontology. Thankfully, this issue seems to have been ironed out from his newer content, so it doesn't matter. In the end, I have to say, thank you, Tim. Thank you for helping to boost my love for dinosaurs, along with directly and indirectly introducing me to many other dino channels, such as Edge, The Dino Facts, Rick Raptor, and of course, Spino Dude. I'll touch on that last one another time. He's even become a partial inspiration for me with my own channel, which you can really tell in this video. In the modern landscape of YouTube, where endless big channels left and right spread extreme amounts of paleo misinformation, either due to ignorance or for clickbait, people like Red Raptor are worth being appreciated. And I'm glad to see him get the support he totally deserves. He's not just some random internet loser crying over the wrong kinds of feathers being used. No, he's far more than that. He's undeniably become one of my favorite dinosaur-based channels, one that I cannot wait to see grow and evolve further. Get it? Evolve? See what I did there? If you're interested in movies, dinosaurs, or prehistoric life in general, do yourself a favor and check out Red Raptor Writes. I promise you, you won't regret it. And if you do, be sure to like his videos, subscribe, and check out his social media. See you next time.